Hey guys, Mason here. Welcome back to the Sweet Spot, where I create delicious desserts that you guys can follow along with at home. As always, the full written recipe and list of ingredients, they're down below in the description box. Also, while you're down there, if you want to join the family, click that subscribe button and you'll get 2 new videos every week. Alright, for the first recipe of the week, we're going to be making an old-fashioned chocolate pie. Now this uses cocoa powder instead of actual melted chocolate, and I love the flavor that it gives this custard. It's such a classic recipe, and it's one that my mama always made growing up with the meringue on top that you toast in the oven. Oh, so good. If you all want the recipe, stick around and we'll get started. Now for the crust for this pie, we use my all butter chocolate crust recipe, and that's in my German chocolate hand pies. I'll go ahead and link that up above. Alright, so we've docked the bottom of our pie with a fork. I'm gonna do what's called blind bake this pie crust. And I just use rice as weight, and we're gonna bake this off in our oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. Brush it with a egg wash, that's 1 egg and a tablespoon of heavy cream. And you want to remember to dock it again after you put the egg wash back on. We're going to turn the oven temperature up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and bake it for 6 more minutes. Now it's time to make the chocolate custard. We're going to be making this on the stove. Alright, to our pot we're going to add 1/4 cup cornstarch, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon of espresso powder, and a pinch of salt. Now we want to whisk this up really nicely and really thoroughly because we want to get out as many lumps as we can now before we add our milk. Now on medium heat, we're going to add in 1.5 cups of evaporated milk and 1 cup of whole milk. We're going to do this a little at a time, stirring, trying to keep this mixture as smooth as we possibly can. Now after we get everything added in, we're going to want to bring this to the boil. It'll start to thicken up. And you'll see me switch to my whisk here. I'm just trying to keep this as smooth as I possibly can get it. Now it's come to the boil. We're going to want to let it boil for 1 minute, constantly stirring. Now to temper our egg yolks, we're going to add a little bit of this chocolate mixture to our egg yolks, and it's going to bring it up to the same temperature, so when we add that back in and cook it some more, it doesn't scramble the eggs. Now we're going to stir that through completely. Now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter and put this back on the heat and bring this back up to the boil again, combining everything completely and making sure all the butter has melted. Now this step is very important. You don't have to do it, but I think it's necessary, and you'll see why here in a minute. Anytime I make a custard or a pudding, I always strain it through a fine mesh sieve, because if you overcook the eggs or the cocoa powder doesn't break down, you're going to get all those clumps that you see here in your sieve. Now to make this simple meringue, it only takes a couple of minutes to come together. In a large bowl with 4 egg whites, it's just the whites that we had left from the yolks that were in our pudding. To that, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar and a pinch of salt. And we're going to keep whisking this until it starts to get fluffy, and we're going to slowly add in 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar. We're wanting to whip this meringue up to stiff peaks. And this is perfect. Now to assemble everything, we have our cooled pie crust. We're going to add in our chocolate filling. And smooth that out completely before we top this with that meringue that we just made. Isn't it gorgeous? Doesn't it look like a big white cloud? Now you're going to want to spread this completely over top of the chocolate filling. We don't want any of the chocolate filling exposed in the oven. We want to get this as brown and golden as we possibly can. Now we're going to put this back into our oven for one last time to bake off at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Look at that, how gorgeous. Here's a slice of the pie after it's cooled completely. It sets up very nicely. And I love when you cut a slice of pie out and you keep that triangular shape. So what'd you guys think? I love the nostalgia that this pie brings. It makes me think of where I come from. It makes me think of my family. It was just such a staple. And I'm not gonna lie, growing up, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But as an adult, I love this pie. With the addition of the espresso powder, it really amps up the cocoa flavor in this. It's so creamy, so custardy. With the meringue on top that's so light and fluffy. It just melts in your mouth. Oh my gosh, so good. I really hope you all try this recipe out. And if you post it online, don't forget to tag me. All of my links, they're down below in the description box. That's all we've got for today. But if you want 2 more wonderful recipes every week from now on, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back on Thursday with another wonderful recipe. From my home to yours. Enjoy.